The air in the Houston conference hall crackled with unease. Rows of polished chairs faced a wide stage where two towering figures stood, their voices already sharp enough to slice through the murmurs of the crowd. Jasmine Crockett, a rising political star known for her fiery speeches, gripped the podium, her eyes narrowed at the man across from her. Elon Musk, the billionaire inventor with a smirk that could infuriate a saint, leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, daring her to speak. The event, a national summit on economic growth, had promised a civil debate on industry and jobs. But anyone watching could see this was no debate. It was a battlefield. The trouble started weeks ago. Crockett had championed a plan to fund new factories in struggling Texas towns, a move to bring jobs to families who'd been left behind. Her proposal won hearts, but it needed private investment to work. Enter Musk, who's massive of his mega factory, to Crockett's district. At first it seemed perfect. Musk would build, Crockett would get credit, and the towns would thrive. But Musk had other plans. Without telling Crockett, he'd quietly shifted the factory's location to a richer county, one that didn't need the jobs. Worse, he'd bragged about it in a leaked email, calling Crockett's plan a waste of time for people too lazy to move. When Crockett found out, she was livid. She felt betrayed, humiliated. Tonight was her chance to confront him. You think you can just waltz in, make promises, and then stab us in the back? Crockett's voice boomed, her finger jabbing toward Musk. The crowd hushed, sensing blood in the water. Those towns trusted you. I trusted you. And you spit in our faces. Musk chuckled, a cold, grating sound. Trust? That's your mistake, not mine. I'm here to build, not babysit your feelings. Those towns can't handle a factory. They don't have the workers, the roads, nothing. I made a business decision. Grow up, the crowd gasped. Crockett's face tightened, her jaw clenched so hard it looked like it might crack. Business decision? You call lying to thousands of people a business decision? You're not a businessman, Musk. You're a coward who hides behind money. Musk shot to his feet, his chair scraping the floor. Coward? Watch your mouth. I've done more for this country than you'll ever dream of. You're just a loudmouth playing hero for votes. You don't care about those towns. You care about your name in the papers. The room erupted in shouts. Some cheered Crockett, others booed her, but the noise only fueled the fire. Crockett stepped from behind her podium, closing the gap between them. My name? At least my name means something to people. Yours is a curse in every town you've burned. You think you're untouchable, but you're just a man, and I'm not scared of you. Musk's smirk vanished. His eyes darkened, and he leaned forward, voice low and venomous. You should be. I don't lose, Crockett. Keep pushing, and I'll make sure your little career ends before it starts. Those towns? They'll hate you when I'm done. Crockett didn't flinch. Threaten me all you want. I'm not here for your games. Those people deserve better than your lies, and I'm going to make sure they get it. You picked the wrong. Fight! The moderator, a nervous man in a cheap suit, tried to intervene, waving his hands. Please, let's keep this civil. But his voice drowned in the crowd's roar. Crockett and Musk locked eyes, neither backing down, their words like sparks ready to ignite. The summit was supposed to be about progress, but it had become a war, and neither was ready to surrender. The Houston conference hall pulsed with raw energy, the crowd's shouts bouncing off the walls like a storm trapped indoors. Jasmine Crockett stood inches from Elon Musk, her breath sharp, her eyes burning with defiance. Musk's face was a mask of contempt, his hands clenched into fists, at his sides. The moderator's pleas for calm were lost in the chaos, a faint whimper against the roar of hundreds. What had started as a debate about jobs and progress had spiraled into a personal vendetta, and neither Crockett nor Musk was willing to yield an inch. Crockett's voice cut through the noise, steady but laced with fury. You think you can Bully your way out of this? You broke your word, Musk. You looked those families in the eye and promised them hope, then snatched it away. And for what? A fatter bank account? Musk scoffed, his lip curling. Don't lecture me about promises. You're the one selling dreams you can't deliver. Those towns were never ready for my factory. I saved them from failing. You should be thanking me, not whining. Thanking you? Crockett's laugh was bitter, slicing the air. For lying? For making fools out of honest people? You don't get to play God just because you've got money. Those families aren't your pawns. The crowd roared louder, some chanting Crockett's name, others hurling insults at her. A man in the front row stood, shaking his fist at Musk. You betrayed us, he shouted, his voice hoarse. Musk's eyes flicked to him, then back to Crockett, his sneer deepening. See that? Musk said, pointing at the man. That's your fault. You got their hopes up with your big talk, and now they're mad at me for being realistic. You're not a leader. You're a spark that starts fires you can't put out. Crockett stepped closer, so close their shadows merged on the stage. Realistic? You mean selfish. You moved that factory to line your pockets, not to help anyone. And now you're blaming me? You're pathetic. Musk's face flushed red, his voice rising to a snarl. Pathetic? I built empires while you were still begging for votes. You're nothing without me. You think those towns would even know your name if I hadn't shown up? You're riding my coattails and you're too dumb to see it. The crowd gasped, the air thick with shock. Crockett's hands trembled, but not from fear. She leaned in, her voice low, dangerous. Say that again. Call me dumb one more time, and I'll show you what nothing looks like when I drag your name through the dirt. Musk laughed, but it was hollow, his eyes darting to the crowd. He wasn't used to being challenged like this, not by someone who didn't blink. Go ahead, he spat. Try it. You'll be out of a job by morning. I know people who can make that happen. The threat hung heavy, but Crockett didn't waver. You don't scare me. Your money can't buy my silence. Those people out there, they see you for what you are. A liar, a cheat. And I'm going to make sure the whole world knows it. The crowd erupted again, some leaping to their feet, others shouting over each other. The moderator, now sweating through his suit, grabbed a microphone. Enough! This is out of control! But no one listened. Crockett and Musk were locked, in their own world, a clash of wills that drowned out everything else. Musk took a step toward her, his voice dropping to a venomous hiss. You're digging your own grave, Crockett. Keep talking, and you'll lose everything. Crockett's smile was cold, unyielding. I'm not the one who's losing tonight. You're about to find out what happens when you underestimate someone who's got nothing left to lose. The stage seemed to shrink around them, the crowd's noise a deafening pulse. Every word, every glare, pushed them closer to a breaking point. The summit was no longer about policy or progress. It was about pride, revenge, and who would walk away, with their head held high. The Houston Conference Hall was a cauldron of noise, the crowd's shouts and jeers swelling like a tide ready to crash. Jasmine Crockett and Elon Musk stood locked in a glare that could have burned through steel, their voices silent for a moment, but their fury screaming in the space between them. The stage lights cast harsh shadows, making their faces look carved from stone. The moderator, now slumped in a corner, had given up, his microphone dangling uselessly. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a reckoning, and the whole room knew. Yet Crockett broke the silence first, her voice sharp as a blade. You think you can threaten me and walk away clean? Those families you lied to, they're not just names on a map. They're people with kids, homes, dreams. You stole from them, Musk, and you're too arrogant to care. Musk's eyes flashed, his hands slamming onto the podium with a crack that echoed. Stole? I don't owe them anything. I'm not their daddy, handing out favors. They want jobs? Let them earn it. I'm not running a charity for your sob stories. The crowd roared, some hurling curses at Musk, others cheering his bluntness. A woman in the back stood, her voice piercing. "You promised us work. My husband lost everything waiting for your factory." The pain in her words hung heavy, and Crockett seized it. "Hear that?" she said, turning to Musk, her finger pointing to the woman. "That's the sound of your lies breaking people. You don't get to shrug and call it business. You made promises you never meant to keep, and now you're blaming them for believing you?" Musk's laugh was cruel, cutting through the noise. "Blame? Yeah, I blame them for thinking you could save them. You're the one who hyped them up, Crockett. You're the one who failed. Look at them, yelling like animals. That's your legacy." Crockett's face twisted, her voice dropping to a dangerous growl. "Don't you dare turn this on me. I fought for those towns when you were busy counting your billions. You're the one who ran, who hid behind your fancy lawyers and your fake excuses. You're not a genius. You're a snake." The crowd exploded, chairs scraping as people surged forward, some waving fists, others clapping for Crockett. Musk's jaw tightened, his voice rising to a shout. "Snake? You're a nobody yelling at a giant. I could buy your whole career and burn it down. Keep pushing, and I'll show you how small you are." Crockett stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. "Try it. Buy whatever you want, but you can't buy respect. Those people out there, they see through you. They know you're all talk, no heart. And I'm going to make sure they never forget it." Musk's hands shook, his voice a hiss. "You're done, Crockett. I'll make sure every door in this country slams in your face. You think you're tough? You're just loud. And loud doesn't win." Crockett's smile was fierce, unyielding. "Loud? I'm not loud. I'm the truth you can't silence. You broke their trust, but I'm giving it back. You're not fighting me, Musk. You're fighting every person you let down. And we're not backing off." The crowd's noise hit, a fever pitch, a wall of sound that shook the room. People were on their feet, some crying, others shouting support. A man near the stage threw a water bottle, missing Musk by inches. Security rushed in, but the chaos only grew. Crockett and Musk didn't move, their eyes locked, each daring the other to break. The summit had become a war zone, and the battle was far from over. Crockett's words echoed in the air, a promise of justice that burned brighter than Musk's. Threats. The stage was set for one final clash, and neither would leave without a fight. The Houston Conference Hall was a furnace of rage and hope, the crowd's voices merging into a single thunderous pulse. Jasmine Crockett stood tall on the stage, her gaze locked on Elon Musk, who glared back with a mix of fury and unease. Security guards flanked the edges, struggling to hold back the surging audience, some of whom waved signs scrawled with angry words. The air crackled with the weight of every broken promise, every betrayed dream. The summit had become a crucible, and this moment would decide who emerged unbroken. Musk spoke first, his voice a snarl that barely hid his rattled nerves. "You think you're winning? Look at this mess. You've turned these people into a mob. You're not a hero, Crockett. You're a spark that burns everything down." Crockett's eyes blazed, but her voice was steady, cutting like a knife. "A mob? These are people you lied to, Musk. They're not burning anything. They're standing up to you. You thought you could crush them, crush me, and walk away. But you're not walking away from this." The crowd roared, a wave of sound that shook the walls. A woman near the front shouted, "Tell him, Jasmine!" Others joined in, their voices a chorus of defiance. Musk's face twitched, his confidence cracking under the weight of their anger. He leaned forward, spitting his words. "You're all talk. You can't touch me. I'm bigger than this room, bigger than you. Keep screaming, and I'll bury you all." Crockett laughed, sharp and fearless. "Bury us? You're the one sinking? You broke their trust, but I'm giving it back. These people don't need your money. They need someone who fights for them. And that's not you. It's me." Musk's hands clenched, his voice rising to a shout. "You? You're nothing. A loudmouth with no power. I'll make sure those towns never see a dime. You think you can fight me? You're done." The crowd's noise hit a deafening peak, but Crockett didn't flinch. She stepped forward, her voice clear, ringing with conviction. "Done? I'm just getting started. You think your threats scare me? I've faced worse than you and came out stronger. Those towns will get their jobs, their hope, because I'll fight for them. Not you, not your money, not your lies, me." The room erupted, people leaping to their feet, clapping, shouting her name. Musk's face paled, his eyes darting to the crowd, then back to Crockett. For the first time, he looked small, a man dwarfed by the truth he couldn't outrun. He opened his mouth, but no words came. The crowd's cheers drowned out his silence, a tidal wave of support for Crockett. She turned to the audience, her voice soaring. "This isn't about me. It's about you. You trusted, you hoped, and he let you down. But I won't. We'll build those factories, we'll bring those jobs, and we'll do it without him. Because we're stronger than his lies." The hall shook with applause, people hugging, crying, chanting her name. Musk stood frozen, his fists limp at his sides. Security moved in, ushering him off the stage, his head bowed, his smirk gone. The crowd didn't even notice him leave. Their eyes were on Crockett, who raised a hand, not in victory, but in promise. "We're not done," she said. "We're just beginning." As the cheers echoed, the summit transformed. It wasn't about betrayal anymore. It was about redemption, about people finding their voice through a woman who refused to back down. Crockett stood alone on the stage, the spotlight hers, her heart with the crowd. She'd faced a giant and won, not with money or threats, but with truth. The fight wasn't over, but tonight she'd given them something Musk never could: hope.